What's up? Welcome back into another video here on the FanTC YouTube page. Going through day 6 of our 45 days of mock draft. So got through the first ninth of it. Going to go ahead and tackle here number 6. And we're going to be switching it up just a little bit here. We are going to be going with a super flex league. So we're going to have one starting quarterback position, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 regular flex, 1 super flex, 5 bench spots. And we're going to go ahead and do a number generator to see what spot we're picking from today. We've done a little bit. I mean, it's only been 5, but we've kind of drafted from all sides. I've kind of seen how all sides go. So we kind of just want to go with random numbers each day to see what we kind of draft. So we get number 5. So it looks like we're going to most likely go quarterback here in the first round. We're going to get one of those top guys. That's always a nice way to start out when you're doing some super flex leagues, if you can get one of those top quarterbacks early. But let's see who ends up falling down to us. So again, 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 regular flex, 1 super flex, 5 bench spots from the 5 spot. Let's get into it. Justin Jefferson, Josh Allen. Okay, well, that's a complete screw up on part of the AI. If you're sitting here at the 105 in a super flex that's going to draft QB heavy, Joe Burrow is probably not going before Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. But if that does happen in your league, make sure to take advantage of it. We get Jalen Hurts here in the first round. That's amazing. I kind of figured we were going to get stuck with either Lamar or. Really, Lamar was best case scenario. Otherwise, it would have either been Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert. Coming around now. So now we already have basically one of the top quarterbacks. We don't really have to focus as much on the super flex position. If we go Jalen Hurts, we can go as low as a Tua to a Matt Stafford. And I feel pretty comfortable with my wide receiver 2 or my super wide receiver 2. Holy crap, that was way off. I feel comfortable with my super flex position. So what I'm looking for here is who's my best available wide receivers, who's my best available running backs, and who could potentially come back to me on an ADP scale. What I'm looking at right now is it looks like a lot of wide receivers are most likely going to be what's going off. We have AJ, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra. I would expect all 4 of those guys to be taken within those next 8 picks after mine. So if I want one of those, I would say upper tier wide receivers, got to go with one now. When I'm looking at the running back position, it's a little bit different. I have Nick Chubb down there at the 3rd. There's a slim chance he can get back to me. Now, if I'm in a normal draft, I do think I like Nick Chubb a little bit more than A.J. Brown, but just simply playing the ADP game, we're going to go A.J. Brown here, stack him up with Jalen Hurts super early, and then just kind of hope we get Nick Chubb to fall to us. 2 more quarterbacks, a tight end, Breece Hall, Derrick Henry. There we go. The ADP game worked itself out. Now, I'm not going to lie here. It is tough not just going to take Garrett Wilson with how high I am, but I'm going to go for a little bit of a balanced build. I wanted Nick Chubb. I got Nick Chubb. Just got to stick with your guns here. So I love the way this draft is starting out for us here. We're already kind of fading here with the second quarterback position. So this is where I would say these super flex leagues get a little bit tough for me because we're going to take a look around here. Let's take a look at wide receivers. Keenan Allen, I'm super high on. You got Amari Cooper. You got D-Hop, who I'm going to be coming around on. I mean, in this spot right now, D-Hop, if you haven't already seen the TikTok or YouTube short, he is going to be a valuable fantasy asset for your team if you're drafting him around here on a regular draft. He's going around 4.411 currently, so obviously not going to take him yet, but that's not even in Superflex. So in Superflex, he's probably getting pushed down back here. If we pass on him, I think he's an absolute steal. If you look at Ryan Tannehill's splits between what his wide receiver 1 can do versus his wide receiver 2, if D-Hop's the clear wide receiver 1, he's going to be a valuable fantasy wide receiver. So with where we're sitting now, and if you look at the quarterbacks, like I'm not really that high enough on any of these guys where I feel like I just have to snag them now. Travis Etienne wouldn't be a bad running back too. Kenneth Walker, I don't mind. Still got Joe Mixon, J.K. Dobbins. So for me, there's definitely one player that I'm extremely high on, and that's Keenan Allen this year. I know some people are going to say he's getting old. They got a new wide receiver to kind of come in and take some work from both of these older guys, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. But Keenan Allen proved it last year when he came back from the injury. If he could stay healthy, he's the number 1 option out there for the Los Angeles Chargers. And I think him as my wide receiver 2 could be an absolutely nasty pairing with A.J. Brown. All right, so we had Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne, and J.K. Dobbins go off the board. Deebo Samuel and Amari Cooper from the wide receiver spot. So this is what I mean. I could technically, or not technically, I could take Deacon. Oh, shoot. Might have breaking news. Oh, not breaking news. Damn. Saquon Barkley and the New York Giants have not reached a contract extension. So no extension for Saquon here before the deadline. I was about to get excited for my mini dynasty team, but oh well. So I could take Diop. I think he's definitely going to be in one of the top ones for me. I like him over Calvin Ridley. I don't really like taking guys that have taken time off of football. We have not really seen anyone take an extended amount of time off, come back and be dominant, unless you want to consider Gronkowski taking a year off to do that. But he is so injury prone his last few years in New England that I think that probably helped him more than it hurt him, as opposed to Ridley, who probably just lost, close to 2 years of his prime. All right. Running back room, Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones. Don't mind either of those two guys. Honestly, love Joe Mixon here all the way down to the 5th. I mean, if he's a guy who's going to get 300 opportunities in Cincinnati again this year, if you're getting him in the 5th round of a superflex, I'm pretty happy with that. And then the quarterback position, I'm not overly eager to take any of these guys. Again, when I have the top guy in Jalen Hurts, I'm okay waiting just a little bit. So I think I'm going to lean Joe Mixon over DeAndre Hopkins, just because I'm going to take the volume play here from the running back position. Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon, again, both these guys are guys that easily, as long as they stay healthy, are probably clearing 300 opportunities. And that's exactly what I'm going to want out of my running back room. All right, obviously, like I said, we're still getting low and lower on those quarterbacks. We're at the point now where I'm going to wait. I'm probably going to take Matthew Stafford, and then I may take a look at adding someone later. I'm pretty high on Matthew Stafford. I know that he's kind of been my cop-out in some of these drafts because I could just take him super late, but I just think he's going to have fantasy value this year. Again, wide receiver, or why does wide receiver so stuck in my head? Quarterback 5 or 6 just 2 years ago. He's extremely good inside the Rams offense. They all came back. They're all playing for basically – I heard it described as the Rams version of The Last Dance, and it basically is. Like, if this year is a dumpster fire, there's a chance they're fire sailing at the trade deadline if they're that bad. But if they're, an average to above average team, they're probably going to go out there and try and get another player or two and try and make another run. They got plenty of players in that portion of their career. So, love Matthew Stafford. I love what the Rams could possibly do. Honestly, with where I'm sitting here at the running back position, Miles Sanders didn't fall to me. If he would have, he probably would have been an auto selection. Again, another guy's probably getting 300-plus opportunities. That would have just been a nasty running back room. On the wide receiver front, this is kind of when we're getting into where I'm going to consider like my wide receiver dead zone. Like, I come in here, like, Treylon Burks, just seeing him hurts my feelings, but like a Mike Williams or Mike Evans, Marquise Brown, I kind of like a little bit more maybe. You got JSN, breakout potential. Ayuk, I don't love very much. I know a lot of people think Ayuk could break out, not that high on him. Watson, I don't mind, but I'm not that excited this year with Jordan Love. Michael Pittman, not taking any chances of Michael Pittman this year. So when I'm looking at this, I'm probably fine with any of the wide receivers that come back to me. I don't think that Darren Waller, Evan Ingram are a difference-making tight end. I'd rather wait for an Njoku later if I can. So at this pace, Dameon Pierce is interesting to me. Cam Akers is interesting. James Conner is interesting. And Alexander Madison. I'm going to go with – I'm just going to go with the Rams. If we're looking back at the end of last year, James Conner, you can make the argument for he was really good towards the end of last year as well. But Cam Akers really kind of came into his own. Again, it's kind of betting on a Rams team that could potentially be up or down. But I do not mind it. I enjoy running the risk with Cam Akers yet again this year. Okay. So playing the ADP game, Derek Carr, Bryce Young, Matthew Stafford, Kyler Murray. Okay. Honestly, the one I like the most probably next, like if I got Mike Evans and Jordan Addison within my next 2 picks, I'd be really happy about that. to pair with Keenan Allen and A.J. Brown. We're going to shoot for it. We're going to go Jordan Addison with that pick and see if we can get Mike Evans to fall to us. This is kind of a little bit of playing computer roulette, but it does seem like the computer does not like Mike Evans very much. Oh, we're going to get it. We got it, man. I'll tell you what, the computer does not like drafting Mike Evans. I also like Tyler Lockett sitting there. We're at this point where now he's getting drafted after JSN again. He's kind of been going a little bit back and forth on that. He's another guy I 100% wouldn't mind taking. I'm just going to go with Mike Evans just because he's got 1,000 yards every year of his career. I'm pretty sure he hasn't finished as worse than a wide receiver blank for every year of his career. I'm not super high on it, but I mean, we're getting him and Addison are basically going to be interchangeable at a flex position for me. So if Jordan Addison, who has a lot of opportunity in Minnesota, breaks out in his rookie year, I can plug him in. If Mike Evans is just having a solid year catching deep balls from Baker Mayfield, I can plug him in. I absolutely love both of those sides. So I'm very happy with that. We kind of screwed ourselves, though. We waited long enough to try and get Matthew Stafford, and he's no longer on the board. So we are kind of stuck here in a little bit of no man's land for our QB2. When you're in that kind of situation, you're kind of stuck kind of taking some bad options. So we're going to grab Kyler Murray here in the hopes that we're grabbing someone in the 9th round that can help us later on down the road. Don't really like doing this in fantasy football drafts because I think you're kind of handcuffing a bench position, which is never fun to do. But we're going to go ahead and do it. We're going to take Kyler. No other quarterback was taken, besides C.J. Stroud. So I'm going to go with basically my backup late-round pick of this year, and that's Kenny Pickett, another guy who could potentially have a year 2 breakout, another year in the same system. That offensive line's getting a little bit better. The receiving options are at least the same. I don't think they got any worse in the wide receiving room. So I just think there's a lot of good things going for Kenny Pickett. If there is going to be a chance for him to break out, I think this year is a good opportunity for him to do so. Chig got taken, so really our tight end that we really like's gone. So I'm okay kind of waiting on another tight end. I don't really care if it's, at this point, like Cole Kmet, Dulcich, Higbee, Everett. Like if I'm even taking any of these guys, I don't really care which one it is. Really, in most drafts, if I get this far without taking a tight end, I will just wait and just pick up one. Like I won't draft a tight end. I'll just draft skill position players, hoping that there's no bad injury or anything like that my team has to deal with, and then pretty much just be happy with, whatever tight end I pick up off the waiver wire. So that's probably the strategy we're going to go with here. I'm going to go ahead and take Devon Achane. This is a guy that I think has a lot of hype around him. He's going pretty late in drafts. I love adding him to my mock drafts in my real teams, both on Underdog for the best ball lineups. It's just if Dalvin Cook goes there, I think that just plummets his value. I don't really think that they would bring him in and then try and develop a rookie alongside him. So if Cook goes there, I'm kind of out a little bit more on Achane. But as for right now, when I'm doing these mock drafts, I got to go ahead and just keep taking Devon Achane. I think that he's a good value. So let's take a look at our roster here. We got Jalen Hurts and we got Kyler Murray / Kenny Pickett as our super flex options. Don't hate that. I'm okay with it. Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon, Cam Akers in the running back room along with Devon Achane. Again, very happy with that as long as Joe Mixon's situation gets figured out. A.J. Brown, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, Jordan Addison in the wide receiver room. Pretty happy with that as well. So I'm pretty content with this draft. Again, we're probably now worrying about the tight end position. I think right now the way I'm building this roster, it's good enough that I could probably get to a winning record and then maybe trade for a tight end for either a future draft pick or try and make a deal with somebody if I feel like I really need to improve at that position. If you've watched any of the other mock drafts, one thing I love to do, I love adding one of these Chiefs wide receivers late, whether you like Rashee Rice, whether you like Sky Moore. I'm more on the Sky Moore camp. We just have not seen a rookie wide receiver really make that much noise in an Andy Reid offense. It's a little bit more complicated. They're a very developed offense. It takes some more time for these wide receivers to get acclimated. I think Sky Moore has some big upside here in year 2. And then we're looking to go ahead and finish out our team. So going with 3 early running backs here in Akers, Mixon, and Chubb kind of gave me the idea to just go shotgun approach at the wide receiver position. And right here, I'm going to kind of continue to do that. And what I mean by that is I'm kind of just taking a look, kind of just going to draft like 6 wide receivers and hope that after week 1 or 2, I got 4 to 5 of them that I feel pretty confident about that they're going to be involved. They're going to be use. So I already got the Jordan Addison side of things. So why not just go ahead and pick up KJ Osborne? And if KJ Osborne is looking like the wide receiver too, you can do what you need to with Jordan Addison. But either way here, I'm going to leave this draft feeling like I have the wide receiver 2 for the Minnesota Vikings. May have to end up cutting one, but it's also a situation if Osborne gets hurt or if Addison gets hurt, it's just an opportunity to have another piece of that offense, which I think is going to be pretty good yet again this year. I'm not going to take Jonathan Mingo. I don't really feel like adding any of these running backs is doing too much for me. So, maybe take a look at adding some other wide receivers if you don't like doing that with your draft. But odds are KJ Osborne's going to just end up getting dropped for a tight end before week 1, unless there's a need or an injury that happens to occur, or Kyler Murray has a 8-week setback. Like, I'm not holding on to Kyler for 8 weeks. Most likely I'm going to need that roster flexibility. So it's a little bit of a different way to build a team. We know we're going to have to make a move before week 1, so this isn't going to be our exact roster going into the week. But that is okay. We have plenty of players. We can look at the camp hype as it starts coming out and just seeing where these players fall, how they fall in our rankings right before the season starts, what kind of opportunities open up for these guys. And I think that this team's pretty solid. I'm not very good at drafting super flex players because I don't like drafting I would have to have taken Tua over Nick Chubb. Like, mentally, it's a different mindset when you have to just draft below, I'd say, average, the average line of where you're happy with fantasy football. You got to take those quarterbacks before you take elite level running backs or wide receivers. It's such a different thought process, such a different mindset you got to be in. So I'm pretty happy with the team. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff for the page. Be ready for some more content coming out, YouTube Shorts, TikToks, Instagram Reels as well, all kinds of good stuff. Peace out, everybody.